Whenever you are considering a development project, planning permission is one of the issues you'll need to address. So in this video, I'm going to look at what you need to know about planning permission. Also, don't forget that we are running our property investing masterclass in January, and our mentorship programs also start in January. For more details, see the links in the text below this video. Well, hi, my name is Mark Lloyd. I'm co-founder of Property Master Academy, and I've been investing and developing property since 2005. The first thing I should say is that planning permission is not just a necessary evil. It is very much the key to development profits. This is because land with planning permission for development is always worth much more than land which doesn't. That means that when you get planning permission, you are making money before you have actually developed anything. When developing, it's generally always better to get the planning permission yourself so you can benefit from the added value. Yes, you can buy land that already has permission, but you will pay a higher price as a result. So when exactly do you need planning permission? Well, in general terms, you might need planning permission when you want to build something new, or want to extend or change the appearance of an existing building, or want to change the use of a building. There are some exceptions. Under what is known as permitted development, you can do some minor things without planning permission. I would urge you to make use of permitted development when you can, as it will save you time and money. Needless to say, you should always check whether you need planning permission for any project before starting. Check with your local council. The planning portal at planningportal.co.uk is also very useful. Incidentally, the planning portal, or e-planning in Scotland, also allows you to submit planning applications online. Now, this is very important to know about planning permission. It can be a frustrating business. The planning system itself can be very complicated. It's governed by different pieces of law stretching back decades. It can also be very slow. Local councils who run the system have a very heavy workload in most places. And under the current system, anybody can object to a planning application, whether they have a valid reason or not, and that can be a real headache sometimes. But don't let all that put you off though, because the rewards for getting planning permission for a development can be very high. So next I'm going to briefly outline how the planning system works. Planning law is set by the government, but the system is run and applications are decided by local planning authorities. This will be the local council in most cases. The government sets out its planning policies and how these are expected to be applied by local councils in England at least, something called the National Planning Policy Framework. Now, local authorities can also set their own local planning policies to some extent. They should have a local plan for the area and what are known as supplementary planning documents, which add further detail. These cover issues such as greenbelt and housing design, to mention but a few. When you make a planning application, the local authority will carry out a consultation process where interested parties such as neighbours and public bodies can comment on the application. A local planning officer at the council will also assess whether or not your application complies with the relevant laws and policies, and they will make a recommendation on whether it should be granted or refused. So what do the planning authorities consider when assessing an application? Well, there are many things. They look at what impact the development will have on the local area. They consider such aspects as the appearance of the development, infrastructure, and environmental issues, to mention just a few. If your site involves a listed building, is in a conservation area, an area of outstanding natural beauty, or a national park where the park authority is the planning authority, there will be even more issues to consider. Depending on the nature of the application, a decision on whether to give permission will be made by the local planning committee, made up of local councillors, or by a planning officer under what are known as delegated powers. Planning applications are supposed to be decided within 8 weeks, or 13 weeks for more complex ones, although in practice the whole process takes longer. Now, if your application is refused, you can make some changes and apply again. You can also appeal, but you need to bear in mind that this will add to your costs and add to your project timeline, usually by many months. So what does all this mean when you're considering a development project? There are a few things to take on board here. Getting planning permission takes time and costs money, not only in the application fees, but because of the work and time it takes to put an application together. You need to factor this into your development budget. You need to research again local planning policies in the area before you start looking for a development there. Track down a copy of the latest local plan. Find out what supplementary planning documents, also known as SPDs, have been produced. Search the planning applications on your local council's website. See what developments have been approved and which have been refused and why. Engage with the local planners and do it before you put a planning application, not just after. Planning officers will be able to give you some idea of whether your plans are likely to be passed, or, if there are any issues, what changes you could make that will get them passed. Doing this is known as seeking pre-application advice. Now, by the way, in most cases you will need to pay a fee for this. So go with the flow wherever possible. It is much easier to get planning permission for a development which fits in with the local area and local policies than one which is contentious. If you can present your development so that it enhances the local area, so much the better. Allow plenty of time. It can take a year or even two from having a good idea for a development to actually being able to start work, and that will be partly down to planning issues. So think well ahead. Think what types of development there is likely to be a demand for in 1, 2 or 3 years' time. Lastly, I should stress this, the whole subject of planning permission can be very daunting, but don't let it put you off. You don't have to do all this yourself. There are professionals who can help you with everything. Architects, for example, can not only draw up your plans, they can often prepare and submit your planning application and help you deal with the planners. If your development is more complicated or is likely to be controversial, there are planning consultants who can help you as well. Planning consultants know planning laws inside out. They can help you create development that should get permission and find ways around any possible planning obstacles. I hope you find this video useful, and if you have, then please hit the like button so others just like you will benefit from this video, and also hit the subscribe button so you'll get notified of other videos we post. Don't forget also to check out our details of our mentorship programs and our property investing masterclass, which are coming up in January. Appearing on your screen right now are more videos that will help you in your property business. Thanks for listening.